Hello, everybody, and welcome back to us exposing the web of lies that is Scientology. Today, we're going to continue in this book that I was sent by one of you fabulous members of the winning team, because we are going to be delving deeper into how these heinous people are getting away with exactly what they are doing. So this book is titled Dianetics, the Evolution of a Science. And the reason why we're reading together, guys, and I'm not just talking, there is a reason for that. Number one, I want to help us all to be more intelligent. A lot of people don't like to do things like sitting and reading and actually looking at the facts. I'm trying to train you guys in the winning team more and more to be well-educated people with opinions, so that when you have something you believe, when it comes down to being critiqued, you're not just like, oh, I don't even know what happened, I just heard it in a YouTube video once. It's like, well, actually, I did some research. So that's why we're doing this. We're doing this together. So please give me your thoughts in the comment section down below, and don't forget to subscribe if you enjoy. Check out the first video of all of this in the playlist that it will be in the description box. Yesterday, we read the front two bits of the pages, and now we're going to start here, which is where it says Dianetics, and then the next page gives us an important note. Something tells me we're not going to get past those 2 pages in this video, but maybe we will. So let's continue. So Dianetics, which means through the mind or through the soul, from the Greek dia, which means through, and nous, which means mind or soul. It is a system of coordinated axioms which resolve problems concerning human behavior and psychosomatic illnesses. So we've already seen another contradiction in this whole idea, because if you guys remember, there's already 2 things that have stuck out to me. I've read 2 sentences, and I've already seen 2 things that don't make any sense. Number one, this one is the less strong point that I have. The word nous being mind or soul. Don't know if that's true, but mind and soul to me aren't the same things, but maybe they are in the Greek. So let's just not even include that one. For that one, we'll just put a pin in it. But this part where it says it is a system of coordinated axioms which resolve problems concerning human behavior and psychosomatic illnesses. So our behavior and psychosomatic symptoms, illnesses. What is a psychosomatic illness, you might be wondering? Well, I know this because I actually know that I personally sometimes suffer from this, and I believe that we all do. A psychosomatic symptom is when you present a symptom or like an illness that is outward as a result of something that is happening psychologically. I.e., some people know that when they get really anxious, they always get like an anxiety headache. For me, when I'm under severe stress, I tend to actually get rashes appear on my hands. And I will always be like, why is there a rash on my hands? And then when I stop to think about it, or like I'll have a flare up of eczema because I've had eczema before, I will be like, why is this happening? And I will realize it's always when I'm in a deep amount of stress for a consistent amount of time. So that's what a psychosomatic symptom is, a symptom that is a result of something that is a result of something going on psychologically. Now, the reason why I have an issue with this is because according to the previous page where it says to the reader, yesterday, he says this. Neither Dianetics nor Scientology is offered as nor professes to be physical healing, nor is any claim made to that effect. So it's not professing to help to any physical healing, nor is it to any claim to made to that effect, right? So we're not going to be able to help you with any physical healing, basically. That's not what this is about. The church does not accept individuals who desire treatment of physical or mental illness, but instead requires a competent medical examination for physical conditions by qualified specialists before addressing their spiritual cause. So that little spiritual cause thing is just the little sprinkling in at the end there to still kind of add some kind of weight to what he's saying here. But essentially, we are not saying that whatever you're experiencing on the outside has anything to do with what we're going to help you with. However, we are saying that there may be some kind of spiritual element to it, but that's not anything to do with it, because what you really need is to go and see a professional. Now, can I just say this statement of see a professional has become one of those statements that is very easy for manipulative people to use, because it's the thing that we trust in. If I sit here and tell you guys, I give you a diagnosis, you're going to be like, who the hell are you to tell me anything? You're not a doctor. Who are you, right? If I told you, well, I'm a medically trained, qualified doctor, all of a sudden you're going to take what I say, right? Because we trust in these so-called qualified people. So a lot of people, what they do to get away with influencing you without actually being held responsible is by telling you a whole bunch of information and sending you down a whole path, but making sure to take off but making sure to clarify that they're not telling you that you should trust in them as a professional. This is what they do. And in a lot of senses, it's good. It's also something that I kind of do on my own channel, in the sense of I tell you guys, these are just my opinions. I'm not saying you should agree with everything I say. Go and look into it for yourself, right? But I'm not trying to manipulate you guys. I'm just trying to say, I don't want you guys to be listening to everything I'm saying and think everything I'm saying is right, and then discover that I'm wrong and find that you felt like you were part of a cult, like you might have felt like if you'd been a part of Scientology. You get the point? Yeah. So let's go on to the third sentence. It combines a workable technique and a thoroughly validated method for increasing sanity by erasing unwanted sensations and unpleasant emotions. Increasing sanity, which I find that completely ironic, because I already know for a fact that this whole e-meter process that they put you through, where they create these engrams, which helps to delete your bad memories and all of that, I already know that the whole process of doing that is they put you through it again and again and again and make you go over the things that you went through again and again and again until you no longer react to it. But so that's the work that that's the procedure they put you through. But they're telling you that this is going to increase your sanity. But what's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. So they get results by doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results, and tell you that that's going to lead you to sanity. Like, by erasing unwanted sensations. So, okay, these are the things that I think, these are all the things that when we think about them in the words, in the way that we understand them, and not in the words that Scientology means them, all sound like good things. We want to increase our sanity. We want to get rid of unwanted sensations. We want to remove unpleasant emotions, right? But here's what I have to say is, who dictates what is an unwanted sensation and who dictates what is an unpleasant emotion? Because I'll tell you something. I'll give you guys a very simple example of something. I think a little bit of guilt is healthy for us all, because it keeps us human. I.e., if you do something to hurt somebody, you might have an unwanted emotion of guilt, right? Because you don't want to feel guilt. It's ugly to feel. It's unpleasant. However, the fact that you feel guilt probably shows that you actually genuinely care about the person, and is probably going to help you not to do it again, because A, you don't want to see that person in that way, and B, you don't want to feel guilty. So this is why I say that it's easy for us to talk about a lot of these concepts in vague terms, and this is something that Scientology does very well. It's another whole story when we actually have to think about all the different areas in which these concepts can be manipulated. So we're going to talk more about that. So now that's just one page we've done so far. This is all we've done today, and we've done nearly 8 minutes. Don't we love it over here on the Winning Team? Let's continue. So the next part we're looking at here is... We've not even got to the contents yet, guys. How nuts is that? So important note. So this is what this page looks like. Important note, and then it starts a glossary. In reading this book, be very certain you never go past a word you do not fully understand. Now, I love this. I'm going to comment on what I have to think about this in a second. I'll let the statement, the whole little mini paragraph finish. In reading this book, be very certain you never go past a word you do not fully understand. The only reason a person gives up a study or becomes confused or unable to learn is because he or she has gone past a word that was not understood. So this is a manipulation tactic, case in point. And I'm going to break down exactly how the way these sentences are structured is manipulative, right? But let's start with this. In reading this book, be very certain you never go past a word you do not fully understand. This is good advice. This is the art of manipulation. We should call this the art of manipulation to this video. Sorry, I just want to write down the title. We should call this the art of manipulation, because this is just an art form. we started off with a statement. Be sure that you never go past a word you do not fully understand. Good advice in life. That's what makes it manipulative as well, because outside of Scientology, we can all agree objectively that is logical, sound advice and wisdom in life to follow. Then says, the only reason. So we've already started, we've introduced what is a logical, agreed, probably objectively agreed point. And we're now going to extend. Now, this is how manipulation works. So having said that, the only reason a person gives up a study or becomes confused or unable to learn is because he or she has gone past a word that was not understood. So they're telling you that the only reason, we've given you a logical basis, foundation, that you must understand the words in order to be able to understand the study. Yes, in order to study something, you will have to understand the words. Otherwise, how can you study it? But notice here how it says the only reason. So there is no other reason. They're already setting the precedent. Bearing in mind, guys, I'm telling you right now, this is before we've even got into the contents page. This is important note. We haven't even got to contents yet, right? The only reason. So you're being programmed immediately. There is no other reason why you don't understand, why you give up or become confused or unable to learn. Those are the three things. The only reason you give up studying, become confused or unable to learn. So now they're immediately telling you, and again, this is the gaslighting, right from the beginning. If you don't get this, if you give up on the study, become confused or unable to learn, it is because you don't understand. We haven't done anything wrong. We're not doing anything heinous. I'm not doing anything crazy, as L. Ron Hubbard. You are the one who has an issue in your understanding. Now, listen, guys, some cases in life, that is the truth. I would argue that argument sometimes for even the Bible with a lot of people. And this is what makes it intelligent. Because what L. Ron Hubbard does is he takes things that are logical and that you can apply intelligently and but uses them in an extremely vague way that has no sense of foundation, right? So the only reason gives up study or becomes confused or unable to learn is because he or she has gone past a word that is not understood. So that means that the onus is all on you to somehow find an understanding. And if you can't find an understanding, that's on you. Now, that's not who God of the Bible is. But just to say that I find particularly interesting. So hook line, already before you've read whatever you've read, before you even know if you agree with what he's saying, before you even know if what it's saying, he's actually saying in the rest of the book makes sense. Have you noticed how we're going to spend the equivalent of 2 videos just discussing what's written on the inside, the to the reader statement, and in an important note at the start of the book? So this is something that I find happens a lot of time in manipulative religions. They tell you what you're supposed to think at the beginning so that whatever comes, you already have a certain framework and a certain understandings and certain foundations that you're going into it with. Like I gave this example when we were reading the Quran, I read through what it tells you. When you read this book, you should this, you should that, which I have an issue with because I feel like any real truth stands up for itself without the need for over explanation, right? That's why as a scientist, as a mathematician, no one needs to explain to me why. I always use the same example, that if 3x equals 12, x equals 4. No one needs to explain that. I don't need before you go into this equation, make sure to recognize. They don't need that because the truth is the truth and the truth will stand up for itself without a need for explanations. That's my humble opinion. Anyway, let's continue. The confusion or inability to grasp or learn comes after a word the person did not have defined and understood. It may not only be the new and unusual words that you have to look up. Some commonly used words can often be misdefined and so cause confusion. The datum about not going past an undefined word is the most important fact in the whole subject of the study. So they're telling you, at no point should you continue with something you don't understand. Now, that is good advice in the hands of somebody who has your best interest at heart. In the hands of a manipulator, it means that every time you're questioning them, they have a way to appease your potentially rightful doubts and satisfy you with an even more convincing lie. That is the thing, guys. And that's what is so powerful about being a human, and the fact that we have two choices and there's always like two things that could be taking place in two paths. I believe everything is in two sides, right? As I said this before. The same reason where it's good not to continue, because even with me, when I study things, I've never learned it from a book like this, but from the person I am, I don't tend to skip past words I don't understand. That's how I've realized that a lot of people use words they don't understand, because I've been reading the actual words and then thinking, well, this isn't what the world has been talking about when I've been talking to the world. The world thinks that they know what they're talking about. They clearly don't, because this isn't what's written in the book. This isn't the definition. This isn't even the Oxford definition. This isn't the Merriam-Webster definition. This is whatever people are thinking of this word isn't what it is. You know what I'm saying? So in some senses, it's good to clarify what you're talking about. And a lot of times I've seen, even in conversations with people, it's actually helpful if there's a word being used for somebody to actually look at the definition so that we can understand if we meant what we said. You often find that the people involved in that conversation might have had slightly different understandings of what that word meant. Maybe there was one person who actually knew the official definition and was using it correctly, but the other person had a wrongful understanding, and therefore this is helpful. So this is why, guys, this is what you call manipulation at the 4D chess level. Like, L. Ron Hubbard is playing a game of 4D chess. This is what you have to understand, okay? So it says, every subject you've taken up and abandoned had its words which you failed to get defined. Yeah, he said the most important fact in the whole subject of study is to get these unidentified words, right? Undefined words. That's the most important fact in this whole thing. Every subject you've taken up and abandoned had its words which you failed to get defined. So because he's saying that, which is again a logical argument when you're dealing with somebody that's telling you the truth, right? Which is, if you didn't understand those things prior, your lack of understanding is going to have a domino effect, that it's going to continue to add errors in your understanding going forward. Yes, that is absolutely true. That is absolutely true. And that's why for a lot of things, for somebody who deals with a lot of problems and a lot of problem solving, even in my job that I do with teaching, a lot of the time, again, when I'm explaining to people logical thinking, a lot of the students I teach maths and science to, by the way, when I'm teaching them, I realize that I have to remind them how to think logically. And the things that are going wrong majority of the time is there's a point in their thought process they stop thinking logically. And it's so interesting to me, because I'll ask them, tell me in exactly what you did step by step, or I'll read it in their work, exactly what you did step by step. And at some point I'll say, well, why did you do that? I don't know. What were the options you thought you could do? I thought I could do this or I could do that. In the two options that they have, the right option was there. So I'll be like, okay, why did you do this one and not that one? Or what was your reasoning? How did you decide between the two? Well, it logically seemed like I should do this, but my friend did this, or it just seemed like the number wouldn't really be like numbers I've seen before. I'm like, so you've made a decision based on external influences that are not going along with actual logic. I don't talk like that to the students, obviously, guys. I'm saying, speaking to you guys. I talk to the students in completely different language than I talk to you guys. And I don't even say that. A lot of this is just going on in my head. And so I'll say, well, I won't even tell them. Do you know what I do with the students? I don't even tell them which is the right answer. I tell them, why don't you try both methods and tell me which one you think worked out for the best? And lo and behold, at the end, they're like, well, with this method, I did this. And that's the point. He's absolutely right about this, that every subject you have taken up and abandoned had its words which you failed to get defined. So it's the domino effect, right? Therefore, in studying this book, be very, very certain you never go past a word you do not fully understand. If the material becomes confusing or you can't seem to grasp it, there will be a word just earlier that you have not understood. So again, if it becomes confusing, there is no other option. There isn't the option that this is nonsense. There isn't the option that there is an error even. Like, are we saying this is an infallible book? Are we saying L. Ron Hubbard is infallible? There is no other option other than you don't understand the word you have right now, or words that came before now. That's the only reason. That is insane. Okay? Don't go any further, but go back to before you got into trouble. Find the misunderstood word and get it defined. Now, can I just say everything that I've said, he said here, is all of this advice is truthful if you're dealing with truth. If you're dealing with actual truth and you're dealing with actual logic, all of this holds up. Yes, if you get confused, because again, it's the same tactic I would use in teaching the kids. Well, at what point did you understand? At what point did you understand what you were doing? And again, there's always the point where if we go back in their calculation, they were following logical steps and then bam. So they're like, so what happened here? I gave the explanation already. So this is what I'm saying. This is why this is dangerous, because he's taking objectively logical problem-solving skills, study skills, and skills that would increase your intelligence and whatnot, which is why I can see why people's IQ goes up. People think that IQ is this arbitrary number that you just are born with. IQ tests you can study for. The highest level IQ test, like the Mensa IQ test, they have practice. You can literally get practice materials, like buy stuff. It's an exam. It's about how you think, how you utilize your intelligence. So yes, this is giving people the tools to be more intelligent, which is intelligence, as by definition, again, isn't how much information somebody has in their head. It's actually their ability to apply the knowledge that they've gained into something else and to turn it into like skills and talents and stuff. So what you do with what you've learned, so it's your ability in being able to do that is actually what intelligence is evaluating. So somebody could have a lot less and know a lot less and be more intelligent because they've utilized a lot of the little that they have. Their ability to actually utilize what they have is greater than somebody else's ability. And there's a lot of people in the world today, a lot of very knowledgeable people. This is what I think is the difference between knowledge and wisdom. There's a lot of people who know a lot of stuff that don't know how to apply it, because wisdom is the application of knowledge. It's actually being able to use it, understanding how to use it. Knowledge is just something you have, which is as good as dead if it's not being put into something. So that's why I can understand why, if you're being given some of these tools that are helpful tools to be more intelligent, to be better at studying, to be better at evaluating things, of course your IQ level is going to go up, right? Now we have glossary, but this glossary page doesn't seem to go so long. And it says, it's just a short bit. It said, to aid reader comprehension, L. Ron Hubbard directed the editors to provide a glossary. This is included in the appendix, editor's glossary of words, terms, and phrases. Words sometimes have several meanings. The editor's glossary only contains the definition of words as they are used in this text. Other definitions can be found in standard language or Dianetics and Scientology dictionaries. Wait. The editor's glossary only contains the definitions of words as they are used in this text. So again, the words have different meanings in different texts. That sounds like a recipe for chaos, because for me, chaos is the presence of an infinite amount of possibilities. That is chaos. If you think about entropy, the law of entropy states that the universe is going from order to disorder, right? So something that is in one piece, when you have a glass and it's in one piece, it's more ordered than when you throw it on the ground, it's smashed into all these pieces, is the same way that I think when there is an objective truth that is one truth that is far more orderly than the possibility of infinite truths, which is chaos, because how can everybody be right? That's why I think it's unwise and it's unintelligent to actually think that everybody can actually be right, because we can't all be right. There has to be one objective truth, and that's it. So that's where I'm at with this. So the fact that this has some meanings in this book and some meanings in the other, again, just seems like another manipulation tactic. I'll be surprised. Other definitions can be found in a standard language or Dianetics and Scientology dictionaries. And then it says, this is just the icing on the cake of this video and the last thing that we're going to read from this book for today. If you find any other words you don't know, look them up in a good dictionary. In a good dictionary, first of all, as a student of life and a scientist myself, good as a word is so unbelievably vague. What are you talking about? Good. What constitutes good? And this is, again, a manipulation tactic, because you see people that are manipulative, especially when they're manipulating you with the truth, and they're not trying to manipulating you with lies, and not trying to make sure you don't get to the truth. They use vague words where there is a hidden element of your own personal bias. When we use vague terms like good, good is not an objective term. It's a subjective term because we all look at different things as good or bad. So for example, I always use this as an example. Some people would say that all lying is bad. Some people would say only white lying is bad. So it's not a exact science. Some people would say even extreme lies can be good. And in fact, there's a lot of political parties, particularly Marxism and Karl Marx, who believes part of the belief of communism is that you should lie to the public if it's for their good. If them knowing the truth is going to make it harder to do what's better for them anyway, then it's actually good to lie to everyone. You, the small. So do you guys see how these vague terms, again, and it plays into the natural pride of the human, which is that we're inclined to want to feel like we have our own understanding of good and we know what good is when we see it. We don't. Because this is how these manipulators get away with this crazy behavior. So yeah, this is insane. We've done 2 videos now and we've not even got into chapter 1. I've not even read the contents page. But listen, buckle up, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the craziness of 2024 and exposing the web of lies that is Scientology. I hope you guys are enjoying this. A shout out again to you guys, particularly Tim and Sarah, for sending me this book. If you guys want to send me stuff or recommend me stuff, please do. I'm so here for it. This is our channel, okay? And I know sometimes I don't come back to you guys and sometimes I take forever to get onto things. Look, I live in the clouds and we're doing things as and when I can do them. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for your support always. If life's a game, let's play to win. Don't forget to subscribe. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. And of course, if this is your first video, check out the other videos in my Scientology playlist and all my other playlists. God bless every single one of you guys. I'll see you in my next one. Goodbye.